want to continue the discussion of the wildlife and its protection. Famous author David Quantum, he is the author of The Spillover, Animal Infections and the Next Human Pandemic. He says that we made the COVID-19 epidemic. It may have started with a bat in a cave, but human activity set it low. Would you like to continue your previous discussion of the wildlife protection, how it plays a buffer zone between us and those parasites?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think just honestly, being smarter consumers, it's really difficult because there's a lot of processes that go behind nature and its development and really understanding it. For instance, our monarch population, our monarch butterfly population, it was endangered. So everyone was told, hey, you should plant some milkweed, plant milkweed. So now that's what we do in Florida. And we've encouraged that population and we've raised it up, not just across Florida, but across its migration to Mexico. But what has happened now is the butterflies are staying. And they're actually breeding with each other instead of migrating back, which causes diseases and parasites. And so it's a very thin line that we talk about these things. And I don't want to say that hunting is all bad, because that would be just untrue. It would be absolute. Some things need to be hunted, and that we should, as humans, have that right. And it's needed for some different biodiversity systems. But I will say, for the most part, these animals that are being traded in wildlife trade, a lot of times it can be inhumane, or it can be deliberately taken out of their ecosystem without permission. And so I think that's a very, very dangerous game that we play. We see a lot of times in Africa different poaching incidences that are happening. Most recently was rhinoceroses and their horns, which was just absolutely brutal. It was deplorable. The people going in and cutting off these horns, and they would use it, I think, for medicine, or people would sell it in the black market for medicine. So it's just one of those things where we really just have to educate ourselves on what the best way is, and we have to be active about that education. And it's really hard to say what's okay to hunt and what's not okay to hunt, because a lot of this wildlife trade came out of a depression. And, if we're specifically talking about China, wildlife trade came from depression where they could not feed their people. I think it was around 50 or 60 years ago that this started. And so it was to address a need of feeding people. And if that's the need, then maybe we should start having other conversations on how we can put more plant-based diet back in. Not saying you shouldn't eat meat, because you should, but trying to limit our intake of meat, understanding what meat we really should eat to help our ecosystems and help biodiversity, and how do we farm in a sustainable manner, I think is more of these conversations that we need to have.